Hey lore lovers, my name's Eric with the Lorebrarians YouTube channel, and welcome to the next installment of Plane Explained, as we'll be taking a closer look at the plane of Kaladesh. For those unfamiliar with the series, each plane is explored in detail across two separate videos. The first, which we'll get into momentarily, is concerned with the regions, races, and cultures present on the plane. The second, which will be released next week, dives deep into the history and the stories that unfold on the plane. Today we'll discuss the marvelous and inspirational world of Kaladesh, a beautiful plane that seamlessly combines nature and artifice to birth truly breathtaking inventions. It's a plane of constructs and gearsmiths, handicraft and craftsmen, where anything that is dreamed can be made physical. Alright, let's dive in. Cogs turning smoothly, thopters flitting through the skies, foundry sparks of creation and industry, sleek vehicles and gargantuan constructs. All these sights and more are in store for the traveler to Kaladesh. A hub of ingenuity and innovation, Kaladesh is one of the most technologically advanced planes in the multiverse, where artifice has made great strides in creating truly remarkable inventions. Crafting, tinkering, and smithing are ubiquitous on Kaladesh, and it's nearly impossible to find an area the machine of progress hasn't touched, save for the farthest reaches of civilization. Artificers and their inventions can be seen in all aspects of everyday life, and the creations range from the mundane but practical to the exquisite but excessive. The artificers of Kaladesh take great pride in their work and believe invention to be a core principle of their culture, the ultimate expression of individualism. But why is it that Kaladesh is so advanced? The reason lies deep within the very nature of the plane. Aether, the substance of the blind eternities and power source for magic across the multiverse, is present in exceedingly large amounts on Kaladesh. The atmosphere of the plane is in close proximity to the boundaries of the blind eternities, and as a result it has become saturated with ether. The Aethersphere, as it's called, generates beautifully swirling streams of ether that course through the skies and act as a driving force for the plane. Ether interacts with Kaladesh's atmosphere and is brought down to the surface in rain and other weather patterns, where it suffuses all life. This practically limitless source of energy promotes growth in nature and is harnessed by artificers to fuel all technology on Kaladesh, which has paved the way for an age of technological advancement across the plane. As far-reaching as technology is, the ether's reach is farther. It shapes cloud formations, molds tree growth, directs fields of farmlands, and touches the spires and edifices of civilization. The ether is truly everywhere, and it's easy to see how it has inspired many designs and works of artifice on Kaladesh. Like other natural resources on a plane, the flow of ether through Kaladesh has been documented. It's called the ether cycle, and it is immensely important to the health of the plane. There are 5 phases to the ether cycle, and each is represented by a specific color of mana. Additionally, each phase is loosely affiliated with a specific race of beings on Kaladesh. The phases are as follows: inspiration, innovation, construction, liberation, and reclamation. The cycle begins with a phase of inspiration, where ether flows freely through the natural world, and an inventor is struck with a moment of raw idealism before anything tangible can take shape. This stage involves both ether and invention in their most natural and fluid states, and is most associated with green mana. Elves on Kaladesh are highly attuned to free ether and contribute most to the inspiration stage of the cycle. They feel the flow of ether, both seen and unseen, as it courses through the plane, and they call this flow the Great Conduit, an interconnection between all things on the plane. This philosophy enables the elves to live in perfect harmony with both nature and technology, and they draw on the inspiration seen in nature to create grand constructs and artifacts. Frequently employed as engineers, architects, and planners in Kaladesh's cities, elves use their strong connection to the ether to guide growth and development of both nature and civilization. The second stage of the ether cycle is innovation, and ether is involved in both a literal and figurative sense. It is a symbol that fuels the mind of an inventor in honing their initial inspiration, delicately planning each piece of a project and refining its vision. More concretely, ether is involved and utilized in every step of trial and error, as an invention is tested and its prototypes perfected. Because of the vast knowledge and intellect necessary to turn an idea into a functioning construct, the innovation phase is most closely tied to blue mana. In this phase, the raw ether is collected from the Aethersphere and refined into a powerful fuel. Skyships filled with daring crew members soar through the skies to gather ether, and massive collecting spires pierce the clouds. But ether collection is a dangerous vocation. Winged creatures and sky whales prowl the Aethersphere, searching for prey, and have been known to attack even larger skyships. This doesn't prevent the adventurous from pursuing a position as a skyship crew member. The Vidalcan of Kaladesh are tied to the innovation phase. They are meticulous to a fault and see every possible design weakness, making them the perfect beings to test and enhance a prototype invention. Vedalken believe the pursuit of perfection is the noblest cause, and that nothing can ever be perfect, and they delight in every opportunity to improve upon concepts and ideas. Vedalken work as Aether charters, politicians, and inspectors among the cities of Kaladesh. The next stage of the Aether cycle is construction, the physical manifestation of inspiration and innovation where an idea is finally given form. Every invention, construct, and mechanism on Kaladesh requires Aether to function, and it's in the construction phase where Aether fuses with invention. Since this stage in the cycle brings order and structure to intangible ideas, it's most closely associated with white mana. A keen eye for detail and a mind for craft are absolutely necessary during construction, and no race personifies these traits better than the dwarves. Artisans, edificers, and smiths, dwarves work with a steady care and precision to create beautifully stunning and functionally practical devices to further civilization. The dwarves of Kaladesh have a reputation for steadiness and care, never utilizing shortcuts and always making sure each invention is exquisitely crafted. Dwarves aren't ones to think progressively. They rely on proven tools and tested methods, and they are among the best builders on the plane. They have an uncanny ability to listen to machines and an innate understanding of function. As such, they are the most efficient maintenance providers to ensure inventions consistently run smoothly. Dwarves can be found on skyship crews to keep the vessels functioning, in the hearts of foundries maintaining the machine of progress, and in quarter artisan shops crafting breathtaking luxuries. The fourth phase of the Aether cycle is liberation, and marks the end of an invention's life. Once it's no longer useful, an artifact is destroyed in one way or another to make room for the new, and this act releases the stored Aether that has been powering its function. Liberation of Aether and destruction of artifice are affiliated with red mana, where energy is raw, free-flowing, and volatile. One creature is so efficient at destroying and liberating energy that it's gathered a reputation as an abhorrent and dangerous species, the Gremlin. Gremlins have an insatiable appetite for Aether, and they'll stop at nothing to get their snouts and claws on it, destroying whole laboratories and workshops in a primal drive to feed. Gremlins' only thought is hunger, and they have a knack for getting past failsafes and traps, infesting many parts of Kaladesh's cities. Their eating is messy, and most of the Aether they try to feed on ends up liberated, drifting back into the Aether sphere. They are a terrible pest, and cause a great deal of headache and setbacks for inventors. The final phase of the Aether cycle is reclamation, where liberated Aether is recombined with unrefined Aether and brought back into the Aether sphere. It's the end point of Aether's journey through the cycle before it begins anew, and is associated with black mana as well as the most intriguing species on Kaladesh, the Aetherborn. Aetherborn are created during collection and refinement of free Aether, where they are quite literally a byproduct of its formation into usable energy. They are given humanoid form and are thought to be a shadow imprint of Aether as it interacts with individuals around the forge. Despite this, all Aetherborn have unique personas. They are born fully developed and have a short lifespan. Their very nature is unstable, and Aetherborn constantly give off clouds of black smoke as they slowly deteriorate. The freed Aether from the liberation phase interacts with the bodies and smoke of Aetherborn, transforming it back into unrefined Aether and eroding away the body of the Aetherborn. This chemical interaction works slowly, but it's enough to kill an Aetherborn in a few years as they crumble to dust. Given their short time on Kaladesh, Aetherborn have a tendency to live lavish, hedonistic lifestyles, filling every single moment with entertainment and enjoyment. In order to afford the luxuries they desire, many Aetherborn turn to crime and other renegade activities. A select few have been given the gift of the Aetherborn, the ability to prolong their short lives by feeding off the energy and life force of other beings. These gifted Aetherborn can live indefinitely so long as they have life to feed from, but their increasing hunger has been known to drive some mad. Perhaps the most impressive work of artifice in all of Kaladesh is Ghirapur, the City of Wonders. A living, working, and integrated construct in its own right, it represents the unlimited potential for growth and technological advancement of which the plane is capable, and is home to the most elaborate, awe-inspiring inventions to be found anywhere. To say Ghirapur is large is a gross understatement. This massive metropolis is the symbolic heart of Kaladesh and houses most of the plane's population. The large Aether Spire dominates the city skyline, which can be seen from miles away, and pierces the Aethersphere, sending much-needed energy to the city's 11 districts. Each district is unique and fills a particular niche in the city's ecosystem. We'll begin our tour with Bomat. Ghirapur sits in the confluence of 3 rivers and is a critical trading hub. The port district of Bomat sees the shipment of Aether, luxuries, and goods to the far reaches of Kaladesh. A bustling dockyard that's alive at all moments of the day and night. The heavy lifting around Bomat is done mostly by constructs. The nature of shipping lends itself to shady deals and black markets, and the infamous Aetherborn Gonti holds their permanent night market here, where contraband and illegal goods can be traded freely. There are many arboretums and greenbelts throughout the city to maintain a sense of natural serenity, but one district grows particularly wild and thick: the Cow. What seems to be a dense and erratic thicket is actually a carefully cultivated wildland tended by a group of elves that lived in the Cow long before Ghirapur's inception. This district serves as a refuge for exotic plant and animal life that has long since declined, and the Cow has a reputation for being quite dangerous to traverse. The Bastion of the Honorable is at the center of 11 Bridges District and is the headquarters for the consulate, the governing body of Ghirapur. Here, consulate enforcers and militia train to preserve order through the city, and the most esteemed officials meet to deliberate on the steering of Ghirapur's future. Massive constructs and peace walkers are housed within the Bastion's octagonal walls. The district of Embral is also called the Sweatworks, and it's the district of metalworking and heavy industry. Foundry fires burn hot day and night, fueling progress and invention within the city. The sounds of cogs clicking, hammers ringing, and sparks flying fill the air and can be heard for several blocks. The district of Freejam is as vertical as it is horizontal. It sits high above the ground in the city's dizzying walkways and numerous spires. Aeronauts, individuals who fly skyships, are found in abundance in Freejam, where their hangars abound with a myriad of aeronautical inventions. The symbol of Freejam is the dragon, and it's one of the few places where they can be found on Kaladesh. Kujar, Greenwheel, and Narnum are 3 more Greenbelt districts found in Ghirapur. Kujar has become an elegantly cultivated residential neighborhood. Greenwheel doubles as both a greenhouse and a research academy, where elves such as Rashmi carry out important experiments, and Narnum is famed for its mysterious house of toxic plants and poisons. Beyond the reaches of the City of Wonders, life grows more wild and civilization is infrequent, yet there are 2 large settlements outside of Ghirapur. Lathnu is perched high atop the cliffs of the Devra mountain range and is nicknamed the city at the top of the world. Here, the ether sphere is within reach, and the citizens rely on rooftop collectors to gather their energy. Mining is the mainstay of the Lathnu economy. Peema, touched by ether, is not so much a city as it is a vast expanse of forests and woodlands. Peema gets its title from the fact that ether streams dip from the ether sphere and weave throughout the forests, fostering growth amongst its flora and fauna. The ether invigorates all species that reside here. Because of its connection to the ether and the Great Conduit, Peema houses the single largest population of elves on Kaladesh, and they live in perfect harmony with the natural world. The most influential entity in Ghirapur and on Kaladesh at large is the city's governing body known as the consulate. The consulate consists of 11 consuls and their subsequent ambassadors, advisors, inspectors, and militia. Few things happen in Ghirapur without consulate approval, and fewer still without their knowledge. Like any government, the purpose of the consulate is to ensure the continued peace and order on Ghirapur and to establish laws that govern society. The collection and distribution of refined ether is of the utmost import. Without it, the City of Wonders would surely come to a halt. To this end, the consulate employs a great number of inventors, engineers, and inspectors to craft machines of progress and to continue the unblocked flow of ether throughout the city. The consulate has been effective at shaping Ghirapur and steering it into the future. The consulate rules from the Bastion of the Honorable, where advisors deliberate on decisions and military leaders train their soldiers. On the one hand, the consulate is a symbol of stability and prosperity, and on the other is seen as a symbol of oppression and bureaucratic corruption. There are so many laws and regulations dictating the flow of ether and the process of invention that even the most careful inventors are in violation of some. Many see the consulate's strict control of ether distribution as just one more way of choking progress and keeping power from the downtrodden. They believe ether should be free and readily available to all, that no one should control the distribution of a resource that's present in all things on the plane. The people who think this way, who believe the consulate has overstepped its bounds, that invention and inspiration and ether should be available to all, are known as renegades. Renegades vary in their involvement and distaste for the consulate, but all share an underlying progressive philosophy that states, ether is everywhere, and that the consulate has put a stranglehold on the most basic and natural force on Kaladesh. Renegades believe that knowledge, information, and progress should be available to all, not locked away in consulate libraries. Likewise, they believe ether should flow freely to everyone, and that central authority is a tool of oppression. Kaladesh is a beautiful and technologically advanced plane that is suffused with life and progress. The abundance of ether drives invention and creates truly breathtaking landscapes in nature. The city of Ghirapur is the crown jewel of a wondrous plane, but the two opposing entities within, Consulate and Renegade, lay the foundation for a potentially explosive revolution that could sweep through all of Kaladesh. The fates of Aether, invention and progress hang in the balance as tension continues to build on both sides of the philosophical schism. Thanks for watching part 1 of the Plane of Kaladesh Explained. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video and subscribe for more lore content. Stay tuned for next week's video where we'll take a deep dive into the history and story arcs of the plane. And now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Kaladesh and which philosophical party, Renegade or Consulate, you support. I've linked the references used in the video description below. Until next time, go forth and explore the lore.